Well, since the S&P last hit an all-time high in mid-September, one group that's held up surprisingly well is legacy media stocks. During that time, the S&P is down 7%. Netflix is lower by 17%. Meantime, Comcast, Disney, Viacom, Fox, and CBS are all up single digits. Let's bring in Ben Silverman, the former NBC Entertainment co-chairman, current chairman and CEO of Propagate Content. Propagate just announced a deal to acquire Electus, the production company responsible for content like CW's Jane the Virgin, NBC's Running Wild with Bear Grylls, and Food Network's Chopped franchise. Ben, welcome to the show. Great to have you with us.
Thank you so much.
Love at least a couple of those shows. I'm sure our audience does too. I mean, in terms of what we've seen with the legacy media stocks, it seems like a lot of them are really placing an emphasis on developing some sort of streaming platform, mostly for their own content. What does that do to the likes of a Propagate when you're selling content to various platforms?
Well, I think that we're entering the next phase of this content arms race with Comcast's acquisition of Sky and the potential for them to go over the top and start a streaming service, Disney's acquisition of Fox and majority control of Hulu, AT&T's acquisition of Time Warner, plus Apple's entry into the game, Amazon, Netflix. You have these mega companies, looking to double down on content with their own services and to be really ahead of their competition. For us, we're deep in the bottom of the mines here, looking for the gold that they need, and they have been and always will be dependent on top-tiered producers and creatives to deliver their content. If they only feed on themselves, they will produce two-headed children. They will not have the best of the best. And I think there's always a position for great stories and unique voices to break through on these platforms.
Does that mean an OTT service from the likes of a Disney, let's say, might be at a disadvantage unless they buy outside content to supplement their own?
They will always need outside unique voices to augment what they're doing. You don't get the brilliance of a Simpsons unless you are relying on the brilliance of a Jim Brooks and Matt Groening. You don't get the brilliance of The Office unless you're willing to look far afield to England where it was first produced. So it requires all of these companies to do what they've always done, which is bringing in outside creative forces and outside creative voices to work alongside their executive teams to build out this content at scale. And if these companies have as much ambition as they're stating and want to compete with the likes of Netflix and Amazon and Apple, they're going to need a lot of content. And it's really hard to put a single show together, let alone 50 a year or 100 a year, which I think are going to be the kind of numbers they need to compete.
Where are you in terms of providing content to sort of the new delivery mechanisms of content, the Facebooks of the world? We heard on their conference call last night that they want to dedicate their next legs of growth to private messaging and content to video. And then there's also the likes of the startup of Jeffrey Katzenberg and Meg Whitman that are doing various forms of content in smaller sizes. So are you feeding into those new delivery systems?
We absolutely are. And this fall has been a great fall for our company. We have Haunted that just launched on Netflix 2 weeks ago, Lore that just launched on Amazon 2 weeks ago, and Charmed, which just launched on the CW 2 weeks ago, all within a thematic around Halloween, obviously. But, we never would have years ago been supplying that kind of content across that many different kinds of platforms, across different forms of genres as well. And as we look at what Jeffrey and Meg are going to build, we want to be right there helping supply them, and already are in business with Jeffrey's new venture and are leaning into it, because you just don't know who's going to become the more successful real estate builder in the future. And we want to be everywhere. We want to be betting on the opportunities and hoping that our investment yields to beachfront real estate down the road. I think there's no question how people consume content, and specifically what you referenced with the Facebook entry or re-entry, as well as what Jeffrey's doing. The next phase of what happens on the mobile phone and the mobile-first content has not yet really been deployed. And I didn't even mention Google when I was talking about all those big companies. Obviously, they have YouTube, and it feels like they haven't yet really unleashed what could be the power there also.